about a movie that you wrote and directed, the short, The Pilgrim and the Private Eye. So, what was the inspiration in really writing that film, and was it always your intention to also direct the movie as well?
It was not always my intention. I just, me and a buddy, we started kicking around this idea for a long time, and um, I didn't intend to direct it. I actually had somebody else in mind to direct it, and their schedule, once it became obvious that we had to shoot this by the time we did, because it's half the movie is set at Coney Island, and a lot of the scenes we wrote took place around some old Coney Island staples that are no longer around. They were tearing them down, and we knew we had to get it done by, X date. And I think it was like Halloween of 2010, I believe, like October 31st, 3 years ago. And we knew, okay, they're tearing it down after this date, so we got to do it. And we started ramping stuff up that fall, and the guy that I hoped that would direct it, his schedule wouldn't work out, and then I just said, I'm so attached to this story. I know it really well. I think I can do this. And my favorite actors are all filmmakers as well. I grew up watching Robert Duvall and Billy Bob Thornton and Kevin Costner and Warren Beatty, and those have always been my favorite actors. And as actors, first and foremost, even though they have done it all, and they know the art and structure of story as a whole, as well as I'm an actor, as in this part of the whole. And I think that if you do give yourself the opportunity to understand the structure of story as a director, as a writer, as a filmmaker, it's only going to make you a stronger actor, I believe.
And do you feel that being the writer and the director of the film maybe influenced the way you portrayed your character in the film overall?
Can you repeat the question? I broke up a little there for a second.
Yeah, do you feel that being the writer and director on the film maybe influenced the way you portrayed your character in the movie overall?
How do you mean? I'm not quite following.
Maybe like, do you feel that maybe being the writer and the director gave you maybe a, maybe more an insightful I guess like gave you made you feel more comfortable in portraying your character overall while you were filming, or maybe influence.
I thought you meant because I play an actor in the. Uh, I mean, it was the thing. I got the great fortune of getting to cast the guy I really wrote it for, which is Tom Noonan, to play the bad guy, and who has done, um, who has also written and directed and produced and starred in his own film, and he actually won Sundance um, almost 20 years ago, I believe in '94, for What Happened Was, and I got to talk with him after I was done, and I was telling him, and he was kind of nodding his head as I was saying this, that when you're doing everything and you are wearing all those hats as director, and writer, and producer, and everything, acting is like an afterthought, and which is kind of fun and rewarding because when you get on a set, and you're just acting, there's you have to you're caught up in that, and sometimes I think you can overthink things, and I think all actors have a habit of doing that at one point or another. But when you're doing all that, it kind of becomes this like zen process where you're not even thinking about it. And when I was doing it, it felt that much better. I don't, when I watch it, I still cringe, so I don't know if it. But I think most filmmakers, when they watch their own thing, they just so attached to it that we all cringe. Everybody I've met at film festivals and other filmmakers, when we talk about our own movies, I'm like, can you watch your film anymore? And not one of them has said, yeah, I still love it. I said, everyone says, oh my God, I can't watch it anymore. I can't. But the acting did feel different great way because I wasn't really concentrating on it.
And speaking about those film festivals, the movie played at several different festivals, like such as the LA Comedy Film Festival, and then also here at the Brooklyn Film Festival. So, what was your reaction when you found out that it was accepted into those festivals, and what kind of response did you get from audiences who had seen it while at the different festivals overall?
It's Christmas come early every time you get into a film festival because um, the festival market is a very, very, very competitive thing. It really is way more competitive than I imagined when I went out and did this. And I didn't do it to get into film festivals. I did it because I really wanted to tell the story. But then once you make it, you want people to see it. And the most tried and true way to do that is to get it out there into film festivals. You can put it online, but and trying to get people to watch it online, is sometimes difficult. So, at least want to do the film festival first before you do that. I shouldn't say at least, but you want to get into some film festivals before that. Because once you put something online, it eliminates you from a lot of the competition. You can't apply to most film festivals after that. But to get back to the question you were asking, what was the question?
What was your reaction over?
Going on a tangent there. There was something I had good. What was the question?
What was your reaction overall when you found out that it wasn't going to be playing at the different festivals, and how have
Right.
audiences really reacted to it overall?
So, each one is just a huge, and there's very different audiences. The LA Comedy Fest I know is going to bring a different type of audience than, the Art of Brooklyn Festival, and the Austin Festival will bring something different. And so when you make your own film in the independent market, whether it's a short or a feature, it, you want to share it. You're so proud of it. You're so attached to it. You want to share it. So every time you get into a festival and are able to do that, it's this great gift. And the response has been overwhelmingly great. And I didn't never imagine we would win awards, and we have been winning some awards. And I'm really overwhelmed at the great response. And there's actually been a lot of people, especially in Austin, which is mostly a writer's festival, that came up and said, these two characters, this is based on this, and it's a good series. And we always intended to make this something bigger, whether it be a feature or a series, but we started really getting pushed and thinking about it in that direction. And we are now currently working with a producer and trying to develop it into a television series. And we're in the middle of draft, 815 right now. I don't know what number we're on. It's a long road, though, but I think we got something really special, and I'm really proud of it. And that might not have happened if we hadn't been able to share it with enough people who had encouraged us to go in that direction. And so I'm really happy. And on top of everything, we just got into the Holly Shorts Festival, which is the largest short festival in Los Angeles, and we have the privilege of screening it at the iconic Chinese theater in Hollywood.
And speaking of the fact that it was an independent short film, did that influence the way you can film the movie overall, or maybe pose any difficulties while you were actually shooting?
And anytime you're shooting something in a shoestring budget, it poses a mountain of difficulties. But that's when, I think that's where a lot of works of art start, is when, somebody gives you a limitation. And for us, that was a financial limitation. But that's when you have to think, okay, well, if I can't afford to get these 10 shots, how can I tell the same story in 3? And, if I can't afford to shoot this entire scene, how can I tell it in a couple lines of dialogue? And, I have friends that work on $100 million sets and, $500,000 sets. And no matter what you're on, there's always limitations. and learning those limitations and then functioning within them is when magic can happen.
And I had read that you got your undergraduate degree in theater art from Fordham. So, how did your degree maybe influence your career as both an actor and a director overall?
Well, I never intended to direct. I'm incredibly glad I have and intend to do more of it. But I have always regarded myself and continue to regard myself as an actor first and foremost. But Fordham, getting to go to school in New York City, the campus I was at was right next to Lincoln Center, and I went out and saw as much theater as I possibly could in my first few years at Fordham, and it allowed me to get exposed to everything I wanted to do, and I wasn't even entirely sure that that's what I was going to do. To be honest, when I got to college, I don't know if a lot of 18-year-olds are 100% sold on what they want to do in life, but as I exposed myself more and more to the theater scene in New York City and also the independent film scene in New York, I became increasingly sure that's what I wanted. And until I was 16, I always intended to be a baseball player. So even though I was average on my best day, so when I got to New York, I knew I wanted to act, and then once I just kept doing it over and over, I was like, there's nothing else I ever want to do, unless the New York Yankees offer me a contract, and then I might consider taking a break.
And would you be interested in maybe doing a play again in the future, like in between your acting jobs? Is that something that you thought about recently?
Since I've done about a play a year. I've always tried to keep that a constant, and I think there's a lot of ways you can grow as an actor. One of the most tried and true ways I know of is theater, mainly because when you're doing film and television, which I love and is why I moved out to LA, you are acting for very short bursts of time, 30 seconds here, a minute there, whatever. When you're on stage, you're acting for 2 hours at a time, and it's like going to the gym. You're gonna only get stronger as a result. And there's pluses and minuses to both. I just the art of filmmaking and acting in front of a camera and getting that opportunity to do it again and getting a second take and the magic of a close up. You can't. There's nothing else like that. I love that, and I love how editing can change the story completely. That's why I respond so much to and wanted to move out to LA to concentrate on television and film, but I never ever want to stop doing theater. I think there's also no parallel like audience sitting in front of you with an instant response and live. There's nothing like that as well. So there's not one I prefer over the other, but if I can live in a city where I can get an equal share of both, I think I've found that in LA, then I will do that. But I always intend to keep doing at least a play a year.
And my last question for you is, besides the newsroom and getting on, do you have any other projects lined up that you can discuss?
Getting on right now. I am filming, and like I said, me and my